My name is Bill Ogden. My settler name is Russ Hepfer. I'm the vice chair at Lower Elwha Clallam Tribe in Washington State. Port Angeles, Washington is in my territory. I'm also a member of RTOC and NTOC. Very honored and privileged to hold that position. I'm also a member of the Northwest Indian Fish Commission. I've been a member there for 26 years. Very proud and honored and very privileged to be in that group. And that brings me to today's presentation. It's called SHEHAP, Salmon and Steelhead Habitat Inventory and Assessment Program. That's a mouthful, SHEHAP. It's basically information management platform that we share with EPA, the state, and other tribes. And Bruce Jones is the manager of that program. We have 20 treaty tribes in the Puget Sound that we call the Salish Sea. And we have a lot of data to share with each other and others to try to recover mostly salmon. And I like to come to whatever agency or where I go with issues of habitat or my tribe. I try not to just go complain. I try to bring resolution, because they always ask you, what do you want us to do? Well, I be prepared and tell them what I think. And that's what we have with what we call State of Our Watersheds report. Each tribe put out a report on their watershed, because in all their great wisdom, the settlers put all of us at the mouths of rivers. Now they're kind of wondering, probably shouldn't have done that. But anyway, we made a report, and it has all our issues, mostly with habitat. And it also comes with a prescription on how to fix it. And it's a State of Our Watershed report. I'm very proud of that report. We just updated it, so we now are in our second go around with it. I came from the Lower Elwha tribe, and we spearheaded removing 2 dams on our river. And I know Fort Hall and others are interested in removing 4 dams here. Took us over 100 years, 20 years of my political life, traveling to Washington, D.C. Pretty scary. I know my way around Washington, D.C. now. That's pretty scary. I love the town, but I wouldn't want to live there. But we were successful. The sky didn't fall. Our fish came back. We're going to, after 11 years, we are going to have a ceremonial and subsistence fishery. It won't be a big one. It'll be 400 fish, and each one will be surveyed by our biologist, and whatever they do to the poor fish before we take it home and eat it. But anyway, I want to introduce Bruce. He is our manager of this program, Bruce Jones. Been with the Fish Commission for 15 years. But before I leave the stage and turn it over to him, I want to tell you we're not damned Indians anymore. We got our damn salmon back, and we're damn proud of it. So thank you. Bruce?
Hey, Russ. Okay, well, thank you very much. Well, from this morning, we'll shift the gears a little bit, because I want to talk to you about data management solutions and the use of our tribal habitat, the information management platform. And I want to start out saying that this is free to all of you. All you do is ask. It's a SQL database with front ends. You'll see it all, and you can test it, you can convert it, you can change it. You might disconnect from us, which is fine, but we have tribes using our water quality exchange across the country. So, but with that, like Russ said, I'm Bruce Jones, SHEHAP Section Manager for Northwest Indian Fisheries Commission. I've been with them for about 15 years. Before that, with the Quinault Indian Nation for 30. And just want to share a little bit about this project we've been working on for my 15 years with the commission of building an exchange platform for the tribes to manage their information and then share it amongst themselves and also with the state of Washington when need be. And I'll get into that. The next. But for a little background, the Northwest Indian Fisheries Commission, it was formed back in 1974 after the USV Washington Bolt decision. That's the fishing case in Washington State where the judge just reaffirmed the fishing rights of the tribes, the 20-member tribes. And the commission itself is located, you can go to the next one, in Olympia, Washington. And that's where the little star is. And we have about 75 employees. And we also have a satellite office up in the North Sound, the town of Burlington, and out on the coast in the town of Forks. For more information, you can visit our website. We have a lot of information on there. So feel free to visit that site. Next. The program that I oversee is this called the Salmon Steelhead Habitat Inventory and Assessment Program. It provides data management, analysis, and sharing assistance to our member tribes and some non-member tribes. We have 7 employees, and we work very close with another group called Point No Point Treaty Council up near town of Paulsbo, Washington. And we provide direct services to our member tribes. Next. The idea of building this information management platform came from the need to develop some way for our tribes to manage their data and share data between themselves. As you all know, we all independent sovereign nations, we have our silos, and just like the federal government does. And when we look at habitat, it's bigger than our watershed. It's bigger than our home area. And so that we need to be able to share data with our neighbors and pull that information into sub-regional and regional analysis and assessment of habitat. And so as we started looking at this, when I started with the commission in 2007, I had on my desk a exchange network grant for about $300,000 to build a water quality exchange. And I had no idea what that is. So that was my introduction to it. And so I built that. But when this habitat strategy was thought of and it was asked of the commission staff to build this strategy, I realized that we need to build more exchanges for our tribes and data systems so that they can share this data and roll it up. And so that's basically what we did on this, how we got started with the information management platform. Next. So the strategy is basically calls for the tribes to gather their data in a way that they can normalize the data into a database that's similar across the tribes, and then the tribes can actually share their data between themselves, sharing apples to apples, oranges to oranges. We've had in the past where we would be collecting the same data and it'd be stored differently. And so the systems couldn't talk to each other. And so we had severe data management issues. The strategy or the information management platform consists of 4 data exchanges. One is the riparian and floodplain exchange. Another is the water quality exchange. We have a nearshore exchange, which is built for the marine area. And a fish management data exchange, which is not a key target strategy or a key target of the strategy, but fish management is why we're doing this for our Northwest tribes. And you see the bubble on the side there for Pacific Ocean. We have not built an exchange or data system for that. The data comes in a variety of forms and it's very large, as you can imagine. The tribal habitat strategy, before I leave this slide, those exchanges tackle those key targets. One is riparian. We need to protect our riparian zones. The other one's floodplain. That's a lot of habitat and also cultural areas. Water quality, quantity, obvious. And then the near shore is just the Puget Sound near shore and the Pacific Coast near shore. Next. So within this, the SHIAP program, within my program, we have a data management system called Aquascape. And it includes habitat data, fish management data, document management systems. So we built a system to manage documents because we always get questions about documents. A lot of population information. And then we built these exchanges, which you see on the bottom, to help the tribes share information when they want to, or just manage data internally. And then on the far right, we have information sharing. So we put out, I think we have around 37 web apps now, sharing information. We have data exchanges. We have our relationship with the state of Washington in our co-management responsibility in the tribes, co-management responsibility for the fishery. And we have a state of watershed report that Russ talked about. This is a report that we built. This is the third version that I have been involved with, and it takes about 22 months to build that. It's basically pulling together individual stories from each of our tribes to tell the story about their watershed condition, their homeland watershed conditions, and it's been well received. So I'm really pleased with that. Next. But before I dive into the exchange itself, I just want to give a special thanks to the EPA and the Exchange Network program. When I started 15 years ago, I did not know about this program, but if you have not applied for a grant, you should. If you're a tribal organization, it will help you build capacity. One of the items I said on the Tribal Exchange Network group, and I'll get into that later on, one of the things that we help EPA understand is that tribes need to be able to build capacity within their programs to sustain themselves over long term. This is money that you can tap into. So it's there, but without that program, we would not be where we're at. And then also a special thanks to our contractor, Windsor Solutions Incorporated out of Portland, Oregon. They really helped us on the technical side of building these exchanges for us. Next. So the exchanges that we have are water quality, nearshore, juvenile, migrant, which are in-river trap data, adult fish, that's the spawning ground survey data, fish management, and then riparian and floodplain. Next. And how the data flows work. So our tribes did not trust the cloud. So 15 years ago, there was no way we're going to send anything to a cloud. So the commission became the cloud for the 20-member tribes. And we have a server, the tribes collect their data, they can push their data to us, and then we have it on a server, and then they can do whatever, they can notify us if they want somebody else, another tribe to come get it, or the state of Washington to come get it. We don't share it with anyone, we work for the tribes. And or in some cases, our tribes, like for the water quality exchange, they can send their data directly to EPA to satisfy the 106 reporting requirement. So they put their data into this database, they can analyze it, and then once they get their averages and all maximums and all that stuff, then they can push those things that they want to push up to the WQX portal now. It used to be Storat back in the day. And so for the most part, these exchanges, the way we have set it up is that the tribes collect the data, they put the data in the database. Let's say Nooksack tribe up in the northern part of Washington by Canada, they want to share data with Lummi, a neighboring tribe in the same watershed. They can push data to our node, notify that tribe that the data is available. Of course, they have to tell us that they want to share with another tribe, and then Lummi tribe can come grab their data from us. And so it's a way of getting the data to a large amount of data, thousands of records at a time. And so it's a way of sharing information and having it ready for analysis. Next. So these are the components of this exchange. You have a SQL database, you have a client, which is a front end, that the user interface. A lot of our tribes do not have access to SQL because it's locked inside IT, security reasons. And so they use the client to interact with the database. We build bulk import. This is an Excel spreadsheet for some of the exchanges. And we have the app for it to help with pulling the data in. Over in the lower right is a water quality time series database. And that's one that we're almost done with. We've been like this for like 5 years, but we've been very in development that we couldn't finish this. But it's basically a time series database that will collect all your time series data. And then you'll push it into this database. We have procedures built in it that run the analysis and push out all the averages, max and mins, and that you need to report for 106. And then it automatically sends it over to the tribal water quality database. And then you're ready to push it to EPA. So it's a way of taking care of those millions of records you collect every 15 minutes out there in the streams. And we have it working in a couple of tribes right now, but it's very clunky. And so it's not really in production yet. Next. So this is what the client looks like. All the clients basically look the same. I built them that way so that when we train one individual, normally tribal staff, as you all know, we do 6 jobs. So it's not, we don't have one person doing one thing. But so I built all the clients to be the same. So once you learn how to use one client, you can go through all the different media and work these clients and get to the data and share it and manage your information. But this one has been in production since 2009. It went through an update in 2015. We are currently updating it to the new 3.0 schema from WQX. And so we're just starting that project now. Next. And we have about 16 of our 20 tribes using it. 4 of our tribes use a different platform, which is fine. And then we have 11 tribes across the country that are using our exchange. And for the most part, like Sedovia Village up in Alaska, they have been using it. They did some modifications. They got disconnected from our admin support because we do all the admin for it. So there's no admin oversight for these exchanges if you don't modify them. And so they notified us a couple of years ago, said, can they have a new version because they kind of disconnected and modified the database for the exchange, wasn't working anymore. And so we just sent them the updated version, and so they're back on. So that way their water quality specialists don't have to worry about any admin on the database or the exchange. And so, but we do that free. That's no cost because we do it for our tribes anyway. So go ahead. Next is the nearshore data exchange. This is built for marine nearshore, and it was built as a open source exchange for the state of Washington because our tribes wanted to have a place to put their science and also learn about the non-tribal science going on within the marine nearshore. And so this is we have web map and we have an exchange for it that the tribal and non-tribal agencies can use. And it's been in production since 2013. All of the exchanges are not heavily used except for WQX. It's because we haven't been out promoting them and helping tribes get their legacy data in, and that's what we're working on now. So we'll catch up on some of these. This is a really stable exchange for that nearshore environment. The next is the juvenile migrant data exchange. You can see the client looking the same. Now this is unique. This is our first exchange project in partnership with the state of Washington because of the co-management responsibilities between the 20-member tribes and Washington state for the fisheries. We joined forces with the Washington Recreational Conservation Office and the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife to build this database and exchange so that the co-managers can share information about juvenile fish, in-river trap, out migration of fish. And it's been in production since 2012. Some use on it, but not as much as we like. The next is the adult fish data exchange, and this is the same thing, same partnership. This is the kind of a first phase of the fish management exchange. When we started the adult fish data exchange, we did not realize how big this project was of looking at complete fish management. And so we dove into the data. We had like 50 biologists in the room, and they started giving us information and data they want to manage within the exchange. And so we had to split it into 2 projects. And so this first project deals with spawning ground surveys. And so that's just a collection of fish data off the spawning grounds. And it's been in production since 2019. This is about when COVID hit us. So then after that, we got these are all exchange network grants. So this is all federal money that came to the commission with the commission and the tribes. And this is another project with Fish Management Data Exchange, and it's working with our partners in the state. And this one went into production 2021. This has been recognized as will be the fish management solution for the state of Washington and our 20-member tribes to share information when they set the seasons for the fishing seasons and also ocean management. And when this is fully implemented, we will retire the juvenile migrant data exchange and the adult fish data exchange. Right. And the last exchange is the riparian and floodplain exchange. This one could be applicable across the country, but this looks at riparian habitat and floodplain habitat, in-stream habitat, eDNA sampling, stream modification, data collection, we tried to throw everything we could into this one exchange, and it's fairly large, but it's out now. It just came out last fall, and we're excited to see this one get up and going because a lot of the damage we see in our fish habitat is the loss of riparian zone, and of course the loss of floodplain. Puget Sound has lost about 70% of their floodplain. And so what floodplain that's left, we really need to protect. And so we're trying to figure this out. Another exchange network project that the state of Washington received money for was, it's called the SWIFT-D, or the Statewide Integrated Fish Distribution project. And what it did is it combined the state fish distribution and the tribal fish distribution into one database. It took us 2 years to do that. It was a lot of data and a lot of duplicate data that we had to clean up. And it has made our lives much easier. Before this, I was getting phone calls, the state was getting phone calls about fish distribution. It's because we had these separate systems. And we knew we had to join, the state and the tribes had to join together to get this system put back together. And it's been working well. It's in production. We do quarterly updates. The commission staff manage it for our member tribes and the state of Washington, WDFW on their side. Next. So now let's shift gears a little bit. Now this, I mentioned the Tribal Exchange Network Group. For those that don't know about it, it's really comprised of tribal professionals. We have about 10 members. I think we have 12, but we just had a call yesterday. I think there's 2 more tribal folks that want to jump on, which is awesome. We want all volunteers. This is a volunteer group. We've been in existence since, I've been on it since 2008. And our primary purpose is to support tribes, provide mentorship, provide training, and we do an annual conference. So that's really what our function is. And we stay out of the politics of it all. We try to stay down to help tribal programs move forward, provide capacity and build capacity, and help tribes just get their programs up and running. And a lot of us have been if you're starting out where you are now. So over on the right, you'll see our website. It's managed by Northern Arizona University. There are admin support, but you can just type in Tribal Exchange Network and you'll get us. It'll come across Google. And in the lower right talks about joining the TXG. And then over on the left there, it says request a mentor. So you can just click on that and say, hey, I need help with water quality sampling. I got a ton of data. What do I do with it? And whatever, or how do I report, or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. We have people involved, which go to the next slide. Yeah, here's the membership before yesterday. But we have over 40 years of experience. And Frank Harjo from Muscogee Creek Nation over in Oklahoma, he's our chair, been our chair for a very long time. And Angie Reed from Penobscot Nation up in Maine is our vice chair. And We just deal with data issues, and we help EPA, the Office of Mission Support, and we just help them with the exchange network and trying to insert a little bit of tribal knowledge into their governmental program. And it so far has worked out. In the last 5-6 years, we've made progress, and I'm really looking forward to continuing our efforts. So the value of the exchange network, so I just have to emphasize this again, if you haven't applied or looked into it, you need to, the latest solicitation just closed June 2nd. So you're gonna have to wait till the fall. We're trying to get EPA to move their release of the solicitation to the tribes back to where it was in November, December time. So we have the winter to deal with the developing the application. Because I told this EPA that it takes too long for a tribe to develop a program or a possible project and then go through the tribal approval process. You have sometimes you have to go to the boards or commissions, and you have to go to your councils. It takes a while to get an approval out. So you have to give us time. You can't just turn it around. And this year again, they flipped it on us for like a 90-day period. And so it went, or 45 they did. It went really fast. And so, and I was able to help 2 tribes this year, or 1 tribe and 1 state agency apply for a grant. So hopefully they get their funding. So the value of the exchange network is, one is that standardization of data. If you're working with groups, I mean, I heard the stories this morning about the water, the mining. I cannot even imagine. Up in the Northwest, we have timber harvest. That's our biggie, where we have, or land conversion, where we convert to homes and things. But the mining issue is so severe that it just it just basically changes the landscape. It's a total different environment. I can't even imagine. But it might be a solution to build an exchange to start collecting critical data across a region. Take a large area, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Oregon, and start collecting that data and pulling that data up to make a case of mismanagement. But anyway, that's the standardization of data. You can centralize the information. You develop these nodes and the servers that help manage the data. You can process the documentation on them. The reduction of operating costs, that's a biggie, because when you standardize the process, everybody can manage the data the same. And then the information exchange and collaboration. Okay. So the trainings, these are some trainings that going back to the Tribal Exchange Network Group. This is, we are looking at a fall conference in the Northwest. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I don't know if we have the money. So we did have the money, but I don't know. I found out yesterday we may not make it. So that may mean that it'll come in 2024. But we are going to try to get one up here. We haven't been up in the Northwest in quite a while. We do have R training. So introduction to R, June 27th, 29th. It's a short turnaround. We don't really care for the short turnaround notice going out to tribes, but it's free to tribes. So you can jump in and grab the training. These are on our website. You can grab them there, or you should have got a notice from ITEP. If you haven't got one from ITEP, you should, I have information, you can contact them, get on their listserv. So we have advanced R, then we have SQL, and we have GitHub, and then advanced SQL. So, and then we're always looking for ideas for training. So if you have ideas, you can send us your ideas. Say, yeah, I need this kind of training or whatever the issue is, and then we'll try to get you set up. Oh, go ahead. I'm trying to move the screen. And then, so these are our contact number or addresses, email addresses. Feel free to contact any one of us. Ashley Grimes is from the ITEP. She's our coordinator down there. And go ahead and go to the last slide. My information is here. Feel free to reach out to me. We had a Tribal Exchange Network conference down in Arizona last year, and it was attended by, I think, well over 100 people. And we had some online, and we had mentorship sessions afterwards, and I think I spent an afternoon just talking to tribes, and it was really good, really rewarding. So, yeah, if you have any questions, you can send me an email. You can talk to me. I'll be here all week, so you can talk to me. But what I showed you was all built by utilizing the EPA's Exchange Network grant program. There's no in-kind. All you have to do is develop a proposal. If you need help developing the proposal, all you need to do is to go on to Tribal Exchange Network group, put in there, hey, I need a mentor to help me develop my proposal. And that's what I did with one of my tribes this year, as one of my tribes wanted to have apply for a grant. So I helped her through that process. So with that, I'll stop.
Thank you so much. Are you going to be around for questions? If anybody wants to ask him some questions, he'll be around. We're going to move straight into our, okay, yeah.
And thank you. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Billy Frank Jr. He was our leader and mentor and uncle to many of us since just about the Northwest Indian Fish Commission's inception. So I'm very proud to have known Billy. I just wanted to mention his name. Thank you.
Thank you, Russ.